Hi, I'm Shawn from Bean Me Up. We are a 25-year-old business in Goa, and over the years, I've met some incredible people doing some amazing things. I've spent hours meeting, talking, discussing, and sharing various ideas with these incredible minds. And it is these great souls that have inspired me to do this podcast. Today, we have with us Sanjiv from Sensible Earth. Hey, Sanjiv, welcome to Bean Me Up,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you.
my deepest gratitude for all the amazing things that you are doing. And yeah, so tell us about your story now. So you're doing amazing, phenomenal things, which we'll come to. But just give us a brief about what your past life was all about. Like earlier conversation that we were having, you mentioned you are living in a 3.0 of your life. So what was your earlier version of Sanjeev? Very like I would imagine very corporate, what I know, and very tech savvy person that you used to be or you still are probably. But you're shredding it all slowly and you're becoming more natural and more humble. Every time I see you, you just look more enlightened.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So
Thank.
tell us something. Tell us a little bit about your past and how you came to be where you are now, and then we can discuss about all these amazing things that you are doing.
Thank you, firstly, for taking the time to speak with me. The work that's happening at Sensible Earth, firstly, is not me. It's the community and people at large. I happen to be one of the facilitators, but
You're the founder
it's
of Sensible
yes,
Earth. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. But I don't do much. It's others. It's a community, and it happens. There's a larger force that works. My life 1.0 was a very what I call transactional life. It was a typical capitalist life where I grew up in the Philippines. I went to school in the US. I stayed back to work in New York for a couple of years, came to India. My very first venture that I incubated were businesses in the plastic manufacturing space and
Wow.
polyester yarn manufacturing space. Those then moved on to being more on the tech side when the internet came in late 90s. So we built companies, invested, built in the tech and tech-enabled space. It was a
And
beautiful
this was all in the
journey.
U.S. when you were
Uh,
all this thing.
I I moved to Bombay at some point to start a family. Uh, I really felt that that's where I wanted to have a family. I hadn't really lived in India for a very long time.
Okay.
So, but I chose Bombay, and I'm really glad I did. That's where we started a family. I have two beautiful, three children, two from that life, and a four-legged one from this life. So, in case she watches the interview, she needs to know she's also included.
Yes.
So that was in Bombay. But the work really was between Bombay, the Middle East, Europe, and North America. So that was my corridor where we worked in. It was a fantastic journey. It
So
was,
what? When did the shift happen? Where you thought like, hey, I need to. Is it after you moved to Goa, or did you have something in mind where you said like, oh, I'm going to move to Goa and be the change, kind of thing?
I think the universe had a grand plan. Destruction started outside and inside both. Changes happened in the family. I no longer had interest in work, which I was loving, and we were just at the verge of a large new venture, large new funding. When I went to everyone and said, "Listen, I just don't have it in me anymore. I'm taking some time off." I said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I just got myself a fancy large motorcycle, so I'm going to motorcycle." So over a period of time, I relinquished everything, all material ownerships except for that motorcycle, all the money, property, everything, and then I set off on a motorcycle for 2 years, journey
Wow,
motorcycling across India and parts of Africa.
how nice.
And it's in that time that I was for the first time truly connected because there's no separation between the self and the outside world. In a car, you're in an enclosed, I call it the womb environment. You're in
Yeah.
this air conditioned and music and phone. And here I was riding with no GPS. I was exposed, and this was this very fancy looking motorcycle with my pannier gears, and people would stop me anywhere and would want to know more and chat. And it was just the most incredible experience. I was invited into people's homes. I experienced so much. And during this time, I saw what was happening up in the Himalayas, which destroyed me. I saw the destruction all over the country. I saw it in Africa. I have stories for each of those, which I will not bore you with now.
So
But
it was,
that's what churned.
yeah. So it all then boiled down to just waste management. You thought like all this is happening. There's big corporates, they are packaging things and everything is done. Then the consumer consumes whatever the product is, but it is then the packaging, I think, right? And that is what is one of your, I think, points that you want to kind of try to resolve is the waste management system or how to like the conversation we had briefly earlier, you mentioned that recycling of plastic waste is a myth. So is that like what is like really one of the main issues that you are out of the many things that you are doing, but is that and that is the need of the hour as well, because a lot of people don't understand. Like I thought some plastic at least could be would be recycled, but apparently it's not. So can you enlighten us on like what is happening with all this plastic that we are consuming, especially in
So,
Goa?
so let me address your first question first, and then I'll come to plastic in a minute. Plastic was one of the big drivers during this time, where I think most people will do the same, which is if you're setting out on a motorcycle ride, where are you
I
going to
saw
go?
that.
I went to the Himalayas.
Yes, that's what I did
And I
too.
went with an imagination. I went every year, but in a car with the family. This was the
Okay.
first time that I was on a motorcycle high up and I could see what's happening in the valleys. I could see everything. So yes, waste was a huge one. At the same time, it was about the architecture, the lenter houses in the mountains, that everybody is breaking down the old mud homes and building these
Absolutely, yeah,
cement
it's cement
homes.
homes.
It was about the youth and how directionless the youth were, and the use of technology in the wrongful way, if you may even
Yes.
label it, which I shouldn't. But how the technology,
No, I understand what
I
you
could
mean.
see the usage of drugs in youth across all social and economic stratas in the mountains and everywhere. I could see loss of agriculture and how the nobody's farming anymore, and I could see the quality of soil. So a bunch of things started happening, uh, but what it boiled down to was this question that we started Sensible Earth with. For the first time, there's in the work I've done, there is no mission, there's no vision, there is no goal. We started Sensible Earth 6 years ago with a question, which is how might we be able to leave this planet with more than what we consume? So we're
It's
all
a beautiful
consuming
thought.
all the time.
Yes.
The capitalist model is based on consumption that I was very much not only a part of, but enabler of. We're consuming all day. I have driven today from Salvador to be here with you at the beautiful place in Anjuna. It's a big question. I've burnt a lot of fossil fuel coming here today. Every Google search costs as much as boiling 4 cups of water for coffee. Every Google search. So we're consuming all the time. Sensible Earth was how might we be able to replenish. Within that started this whole concept of waste, of what we are generating from our homes, and plastic undoubtedly
The top of the list.
is along with cement. Plastic is the topmost evil that we're using without knowing. There's nothing wrong with plastic if we do use it knowingly. But without knowing, and for us to believe that it's recyclable. On an average, 4% of plastic gets recycled every year. 4%.
Whoa.
Actually, we should just take a moment's break to let that sink in, which means all this segregation that we're doing. Imagine being in Europe, being in Switzerland, where they'll fine you a percentage of your annual income if you don't segregate. Only 4% gets recycled.
And this is the statistic is worldwide?
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Yeah.
Worldwide. Uh, and what the reasons are, plenty. That's a whole different podcast on its own. So we then said, can we take on the initiative of eliminating the use of plastic bags, as we call them, pishwi, poti here in Goa, North
Yeah.
India they call it panni. They're legally banned, but on an average day in Goa, Over
Everybody is using
150,000,
it.
1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs of these OTs get used every single day,
And disposed of within a few
and
hours.
100% of them go into our landfills, into our fields, into our water bodies, and eventually into our stomach, because we're all consuming plastic. According to the United Nations, the Big Daddy says that we're consuming plastic equal to one ATM or credit card every week. That's 5 grams of plastic. I'm sure it's a lot more actually, but our
Because of the
water's
microplastic that
contaminated.
is, yeah.
Your beautiful ginger or lemon tea, I'm sorry to say, is contaminated. My bottle, which says Maka Naka plastic, actually has plastic inside because the water is contaminated. So that's how Makanaka started. We realized that textiles across the world are amongst the top 3 contributors to landfill. So can we use pre-loved textile clothing? You've been kind enough to support Makanaka so much
Yes,
in
thanks.
terms
Yeah.
of collection of clothing, sales of
Yes.
bags. So can we collect pre-loved textiles? Can we make bags from those?
Lovely.
So we generate employment for 40 amazing makers, women in Goa who make these bags. And then can we get them out to the market to eliminate the use of plastic? So 3 things are being done at the same time. So that's what Makanaka project is.
Wow. So, and it is something that is the need of the hour, I think, with Makanaka. And a lot of people know about this. I think it has really got a lot of traction. And I can see, and I'm so happy when I see people, like I myself, when I'm going to the
Yeah.
market to get my vegetables,
Yeah.
I'm getting my Makanaka bag. See, there you go.
This is not the
This is
shopping
the
bag. This is one of our,
Makanaka bag.
yeah. This is from
Yay.
an old pair of jeans, my own jeans,
So all this
which
is
we made.
upcycled, and
Yes.
this cloth
Yes.
is actually,
Yes.
yeah, they upcycled.
Yeah.
So the other thing is clothing, the clothing industry, which is, I would say, is also a big contributor to waste, because fabric uses a very water intensive product. So what is your take on fast fashion, like brands like H&M and Zara and these guys, who want you to wear a new style every week, or that is what they're catering to the youth today, the Gen Zs want to wear something snappy, or the gratification that they have when they go shopping, the new, like, I was not told that, when, oh, if I'm in a bad mood, you go and buy something and then you feel good. That is what it is like today. That is what people say
Yeah.
or feel and believe. So, what is your take on that? I would like to know. Because, again, in some of the earlier conversations we had today, you said that you are shredding your ego, or of being a consumer, and some profound things that I would like to be aligned with your. I am aligned, but I would like to walk that talk at some point. But I would like to know your take on, or your message to the people out there who find gratification in shopping or going on Amazon and putting it in their basket and getting it delivered to their home. The convenience of that today,
Wow,
which
there's
you were part of
so
earlier,
much
I think.
incredible points because we've manufactured textiles. The fact is that 60% of all textiles on the planet are plastic. The resources of cotton that we take and wool and other fibers are viscose, are incredibly depleting the planet of everything. We've moved on from 4 or 5 garments that we used to own, or 4 new
Yes.
garments we bought at Diwali, Eid, Christmas. We bought some garments, some clothing, and that's how it was.
Yeah.
We used to have 2 fashion seasons in a year, and then 4 fashion seasons in a year. Paris and Milan ramps would do 4 seasons. Now we have 52 fashion seasons in a year. Brands like Zudio, which are Indian invented, and I'm so sad to see brands like these come up by Tatas and others, are
Making it
such
convenient.
huge,
So,
and it's supposed to make you feel good. The idea on capitalism is that you click on buy now button, and now Amazon doesn't even show you the cost of the product in large fonts. It shows you the EMI of the product on the large font.
yes.
So you buy it now, and the promise is that it will make you feel better when it arrives tomorrow morning. It does not. And I think people fail to understand that. So we get such incredible clothing donated to us that we realize can we help people extend the life of their clothing before they donate it to Makanaka?
Lovely,
And that's
yes.
how Living Labs came
Living
about.
labs. Yay.
Uh,
What a beautiful concept. So if you have an excuse now saying that, oh, this my clothing is ripped, or something is wrong, you
here's
can go and have it fixed at Living Labs, which is part of Sensible Earth.
So you have it fixed, you can have it dyed. This is a very, very old shirt of mine, which I was not using at all before Living Labs came in, and we have live indigo vats.
Yeah.
I wanted a light color, so we dyed it in indigo.
How cool.
And now it's one of my
That's
favorite
very,
shirts back
yay.
again, and I don't need to buy anything new. A lot of young people, and I must say my daughter is a huge inspiration for me, Ilesha. She buys nothing new. Everything is thrifted, everything is exchanged and hand-me-downs. And I think a lot of young people are understanding the benefit of it. With
Nice.
Living Labs, you can dye your clothes. We do forest to clothing. So there are plants in the forest that people are deforesting because they feel it's of no use to humans. So we're using some of those flowers and seeds to dye to say that don't cut them off.
Yeah.
We'll pay you to buy this from you.
How nice.
We're also just started 3 farms are growing indigo plants. So we're trying to cultivate indigo in this region so that we'll have the indigo coming from the local farms straight to Living Labs to dye.
Wow.
Juliet, who is this our incredible collaborator, she's a textile designer from France. So she's an indigo expert and many other dyes. So she's doing
And
that.
indigo is actually originated in India. I think it was,
Our
as far
history
as
is
I
written
know.
in
Yeah,
indigo.
the
Colonizers came here looking for indigo.
indigo. Yeah. So indigo is such an amazing, amazing plant. I
And
think.
did you know that 99% of all denim jeans are dyed with synthetic indigo? And now there are islands in near Antarctica of synthetic indigo because it's gone in the water currents and there's so much of it is collected. So we'd like to help transition to natural indigo.
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you, Sanjeev, again for like.
Not at all.
I think words cannot express like the amazing things that people like you are doing.
That are happening.
Yeah.
That are happening. Yeah.
So, and also educating children now. So you have school programs as well, where I think at the grassroots level, where you go to all these amazing, like these kids, the bright minds, and the future citizens of tomorrow, and you tell them about how to be sustainable. I think that is the
Yes.
one way to start, which you are doing. So tell us more about that.
So the government, the central government had a directive for all the states to work with the young schoolers and start a waste to wealth program. So Goa State Pollution Control Board, led by some amazing people, Mr. Patil, Brenda from the Goa Science Council came to us and we said, yes, we'll come up with this idea. So we then, 41 schools, over 6 months, we'd go every week and we'd work with these schools to start a Makanaka chapter in their school. There's a lovely one few kilometers from here called St. Michael's, run
St.
by
Michael's
Sister
Church.
Margaret,
Yes,
who's
yes.
incredible. She's one of our stalwarts in this. And if you go to that school, you will see how they've imbibed, the youngs have imbibed this program. And the idea of the overall program is to start a Makanaka chapter where they can collect clothing in the community, make bags within the community, and then adopt markets where they can go for 21 days continuously
Wow.
to talk to shoppers, not vendors, because vendors are not the problem, to talk to shoppers to take a cloth bag
Take the bag with them. Yeah.
and remember to bring it back the next time.
Yes.
They've done an incredible job doing this. We've actually even taught them screen printing.
Wow.
So now they print their own bags according to our standards. And they go out there and they do this. And the kids, the moment the kids understand what the impact is of plastic, when we ask them, how long does it take plastic to biodegrade? And they'll say, well, thousands of years. And how much plastic is being used? How is recycled? 4%. How long is it being used for? 70 years. So where is all this plastic on the planet? And that's when our incredible colleague, Sammy Coelho, comes dressed in as a plastic monster and goes around crazy with all the kids saying, I'm going to eat you, and he's got plastic hanging everywhere. And kids get that. And they are the change makers of today.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wow. Such amazing initiatives. And then you are also a supporter of Zero Postro, which
Yes.
is another amazing brand where they're doing, again, hyper local products, indigenous, trying to preserve indigenous grains and farmers who are growing indigenous foods and making products and putting it out there. So tell us about a little bit of Zero
So,
Postro and also creating zero like less waste wine when delivering products. You all
yeah.
just acquired
Yeah.
a electric vehicle for that too.
So I was a great fan of what Jonah was doing earlier, called Eco Postro, and then he was taking a break and figuring out post-pandemic what to do. And we presented to him with the idea, saying we'd incubate you and would like it to be now zero postro. Postro means a shop, and zero is for zero waste and 0 kilometer, which was not his earlier journey. And we said we'd like it to be local produce in season, in region. We'd like to look at local land use. Would like to look at local ecosystems, local economies. So we invested, strategized, built sales channels, came up with the ideas of mobile zero waste delivery vans,
Yeah.
bought them for Zero Postro, gave it to them, these electric vehicles. So that was the whole idea. Now he's on his feet, and along with his amazing wife
And they're
Sasha.
having a good distribution system.
Yeah, so we've just exited, and now they're good to go on their own. Yeah.
How nice.
So people can buy local produce with zero plastic and packaging.
And the project that you have closest to your heart, you told me, is the reforestation project, which is the need of the hour. Clean air and clean water is something that is most underappreciated, I think, by us, whilst that is one of the most quickest depleting resources that we have. And most people, we are just taking it for granted. We are not questioning the authorities or the status quo who are supposed to be, who are the ones who are supposed to look into the future to make sure that we have these resources and in abundance or in clean resources for the future. So all this is being jeopardized at many levels. And like the discussion we had, we are living in a very eco-sensitive region, the Western Ghats, the coastal area, the Konkan coast. So, and you have started so tell us about your reforestation project that you plan to do, or it's
We
already
see
ongoing. I think.
it's
I think
ongoing.
it's ongoing.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it is. So the destruction we see in Goa is extremely disturbing for all of us Goans, and I include myself because this is my home now. We're seeing tremendous amount of deforestation.
Yeah.
We're seeing beautiful soil
All around us,
soil
yes.
being taken out every single day. We have water shortage. Anjana, I'm sure you
Yes.
feel the brunt of the water shortage in Goa. We're the largest per capita generator of plastic waste in the country. We have been very disturbed by that sensible earth, and we have the option to be in the area of activism, which is not our language. We support all activism. We're there to fund it, support it, ideate, provide right connections to people who are activists. Our language is action. So we said, well, we must go plant more trees. So currently we're working in the Western Ghats, inside tiger reserves,
Wow.
in areas which have been deforested. So we've actually started creating our own land bank. It's good size, but we need more, where we have already planted in the last few months, over 3,000 endemic species trees, which many are nearly at the extinction level. So we're recreating the forest inside the forest and around the Western Ghat areas. Our idea is to, hope is to be able to plant 5 lakh trees over the next 3 years, which is an impossible task, but we're hoping that some greater force will help us do it.
And these trees will help with the wildlife thrive also. Yeah. So you mentioned that you are also looking into where the certain birds and certain animals are thriving in certain habitats. So you're creating a habitat kind of sort of for this
So they're
for
all
the wild. So it's
endemic.
all connected.
They're all endemic. That we call it the oneness project because it's the oneness of the universe. The plants, animals, birds, reptiles, humans are all part of this oneness. If you
Humans are
look
the one
at,
who destroy it all, but
unfortunately, so Shawn, unfortunately. So our Excel sheets that we
yeah.
have of the 76 species that we've planted so far have tags next to each plant, and the tags are based on hornbill or some other birds or bears or the gores, the Indian gores,
Yeah.
or the monkeys. So it's based on those. 20% of those trees we've ensured also have a human tag to it. So while a jackfruit would be great for the wild boars and for the bears, but it's also human consumption. There's also jamun, etc. So we've also kokum. We've got plants which also have human tags. The idea is for us to create a oneness model whereby people don't have in these areas, the communities have a forest to table channel that we're creating
Wow.
where they don't have to cut down these trees to grow rice, which is very loss making today for the
Yes.
planet and for themselves, and the government gives it free to everyone. So it's a very damaging crop.
It is.
So,
It
can
is.
we get them to nurture the forest? So, we're creating products for jackfruit that will come to you for,
For sure.
including
Yeah.
jackfruit seed atta
Yeah.
and kokum. We're doing some interesting things. So, the idea is that the forest actually becomes relevant to human beings.
Yes, and it is the ecosystem. In an ecosystem, you have to have it is not a monocrop like rice. If you're just doing only rice, it is more prone to a lot of other issues like getting infected by certain pests, etc. That
Yeah,
is the problems usually with monocrops. But in an ecosystem, if we have all thriving
absolutely.
and you have the microbiome that then just grows
Absolutely,
there,
yes.
that is the conversation I had
Which
in
is
my
our guts as
earlier.
well.
It is
Yeah,
all around us, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
in the forest, it's everywhere. So that is the kind of systems that we need
Yes.
to have.
And a fact that is often overlooked by people is that 96% of water in India is forest fed, only 4% is glacier fed water. So if we don't plant trees and we have runoff, whether there's flooding happening in the rains, and then there's drought and famine happening in the summer months, rivers like Kaveri drying 3 kilometers inland 4 months after the monsoon, is because the forests are being depleted. So if we regrow the forests, which will charge the rivers in the groundwater,
Yes.
so the reason we're in the Western Ghat area is because that's where the water comes for from Karwar to Savantwadi, this whole zone. So if you're cutting trees here, anyone's cutting trees here, at least we can do something to minimize that. There's another interesting thing we're doing, by the way, Shawn, is that we're taking the soil from micro right now, from people who are deforesting and making villas. And we're currently experimenting dyeing old clothes, pre-loved clothes with soil of Goa.
Oh, how
Beautiful
nice.
colors that people can actually wear soil of Goa.
How nice. Yeah. Wow. And then coming to one another interesting thing which is close to my heart is your sensible kitchen that I was invited to yesterday, and I had the most amazing meal. So tell us about your sensible kitchen and how you. And I didn't pay. I had to just pay whatever I felt like when I left. So
Well,
yeah,
I think
and the woman was so happy and joyful. You know, like I am here. When people eat my food, I feel that joy when I see the smile or that satisfaction. And I could see that sparkle in your eyes and the smile on your faces as you were like the mother is feeding their child, you know, that joy. And I could see that joy and that energy at Sensible Earth yesterday.
thank you.
So,
So, some might agree with me that the biggest pandemic on the planet today is mental wellness.
yes.
It's really unfortunate. People of all ages, young especially, why it is a whole different discussion, social media, technology, capitalism, money, all of that. But the fact is that food and nutrition is what makes our body. And if we're going to put things in our body which are palm oil, not from region, not in season food, because I just feel like having something from anywhere. I want to have apple in Goa. Unfortunately, it's not going to do too
Or
much for
mangoes in
you. Or
winter.
mangoes in the winter, or fruits from China, God help you. It's not going to do too much, anything for you.
Yeah.
So, if people eat well, I think if their body is well and their mind is well, they can think about doing something for the
Yes.
planet.
Eat
So,
local, eat seasonal, basic stuff.
and yesterday's food was almost zero oil, except for the banana rava fry. No garlic, no onion, no ginger, very little chili, and that's how traditional food was made. Not because we asked to tweak the recipe.
That's how
We
it
just
was made.
worked on the traditional recipes.
Yeah.
So Idea Sensible Kitchen is to create all that, eliminate plastic usage from Swiggy and
Zomato.
takeaway, home, Zomato, etc. And at the same time provide livelihood for our makers, the 40 incredible backbone of Makanaka, who feel they have no other skills. They feel like हमको computer नहीं आता है, we don't know, we have no skills, and we're saying you have this incredible skill,
Skill. Absolutely
and there are
amazing.
people who
Yes, we
want
appreciate it.
to appreciate. Yeah,
Yes.
so can we please get this
And
to
it
the
was an
market?
amazing community as well of
Yeah,
people there.
yeah,
Like they were all like-minded people
absolutely.
who were enjoying it and who were appreciating, and we had some amazing conversations. So thank you for that. And what is the message that you would like to give to all the youth or anybody watching this video about how to, if they want to make one or two changes in their lifestyle that will make an impact for tomorrow? So, what is a little message you would like?
So I have one invitation and one suggestion.
Okay.
My invitation to everyone is that before going to bed every night, please spend a few moments with yourself thinking about what all resources you've consumed from the planet today: electricity, fossil fuel, mobile, Google searches, food, water, what all you've consumed from the planet, and then think, what have I done today to replenish the planet? The 7.5 billion people on this planet, if we continue to be the pest and just continue consuming, we are pushing the planet to extinction. If you can think about, what have I done to replenish? Growing plants and trees is one way. Find other ways and tell us what ways you've come up with. That's our invitation. And our suggestion is to take on a 21-day challenge. We even have workbooks for that for people, whoever would like. That take on a 21-day challenge, because it takes 21 days to create new habits.
Yes, it does.
Start with micro challenges.
Like taking your makanaka bag, cloth bag
Go
with
to the
you
market,
everywhere
that's
you go.
it.
That could be a challenge.
Start with that.
Yeah. I
And-
always have a thela in my bag. I use a backpack or a computer bag, but I have a thela just in case I want to stop by, get groceries or get veggies. I have my thela, so I don't have to buy a bag.
And if I don't have a thela, I will take my shirt and I would say, put it
Yeah.
here. I will
Yeah.
take it to the car or my scooter on this.
Yeah.
So,
Or one of the suggestion I have is when I go to Oxford or any of these supermarkets, because their bulk purchases come in this corrugated boxes.
Yeah.
So in case I don't have my thela, I ask them to give me one of the
Yes,
corrugated boxes.
of course.
I put all that thing in the corrugated box and I take it with me.
of course, yeah.
Yeah. So there's always
Always a way.
You should have a
Always a way.
There's always a way.
So,
The 21-day
21-day challenges, and that applies for your nutrition, your health, your relationships, anything you
Eat
want to
seasonal,
do. Do it 21
eat
days
local.
every day, and you will become a change maker.
Wow.
And start with the change with yourself. Don't preach to anybody. Over those 21 days, don't preach to anyone. Once you've become the change, others will.
Everybody, people around you will
Benefit, yes,
change when
yes,
you change.
exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sanjiv. It was such lovely talking to you, and it is such a
you.
pleasure to have you
Thank you.
amongst us.
Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you.